Glad to have you join us on this edition of the show. COVID-19 has no doubt disrupted the world in unimaginable ways, but many experts have argued that it also presents an opportunity for developing economies like ours to retool and re-strategize for the future. My guest on the show understands how to leverage technology to drive change and shares his thoughts on the way forward. There is indeed a lot lined up for you, but first, some tech news and updates. This is Tech Trends, and I'm Chukwemeka Agbata.
Technology through automation and artificial intelligence is definitely one of the most disruptive sources.
Social media comprises of public platforms that allow anyone post any information online without accountability, but these social platforms are conduits of information disorder, which consist of disinformation, misinformation, and malinformation. To curtail the fast spread of false information on the internet, a former Facebook employee and a software entrepreneur in the UK, Timi Olotu, and his team have developed an application called Otito that helps individuals research and write fact-based articles with other people on the internet. The web-based application is designed to fight misinformation through crowdsourced facts and community moderation. Timmy, who is also a journalist, felt the need to help people identify what's true and what's false on the internet.
There was always something that bothered me, even though it seemed my articles were doing well. I didn't feel like I was having the kind of impact that I wanted, which was not so much to get people to think like me or to adopt my beliefs, but to get them to question what they read more, to be more focused on identifying what is truthful and what is not, what is a statement of fact versus what is a statement of opinion, how reliable is the evidence used to back up a statement of fact, and so on. Because this was around the time when Donald Trump had come into power, Brexit has happened, a lot of things were going on in Nigeria as well in relation to the president. You know, was he dead? Was he alive? And it just seemed that we were in an informational crisis. No one was sure what to believe anymore. And as a result, it was very easy for people to spread misinformation. And that's a real problem for democracy. That was less about getting people to think a certain way, but more about equipping them to be able to identify what is false and what is accurate. So that's what really inspired me to combine my experience in writing and media and publishing with my experience in software and technology.
Otito organizes articles as evidence-based claims and allows multiple people contribute different claims to the same topic. According to Timmy, the app forces users to back up every claim they make in an article to a source and allows anyone reading it to validate the claims.
So what I wanted to do was design a system where people are disincentivized from contributing misinformation. They're incentivized to contribute factual information, and it's very easy for anyone looking at information on Otito to identify what is more reliable and what is less reliable. And that's what led to the whole idea of breaking down articles into claims or statements of fact. Because if you go on any website or blog on the internet, what you're going to see is a wall of text. It's a stream of information. It's very difficult to recognize where a statement of opinion ends and when a statement of fact begins, where there's conjecture, where there are unfounded assertions, where there's just full-on wild speculation, where there's a full-on lie. you don't really know, because someone who's very intelligent and very skilled at writing can go from a lie to the truth in a matter of words and then back to a lie again without you even noticing that it's happened. So by imposing this modularized system in Otito, we've made it possible and easier to be able to look at each claim made in an article on a unit by unit basis, so that you can understand what is a lie, or what is most likely a lie, and what is most likely true. We've also made it easier for anyone looking at that information, if they have additional information or more reliable information, to be able to contribute.
The problem of misinformation is so widespread, and for the Otito team, that brought a lot of skepticism from the audience.
In the initial stages, when I was drawing up the designs and asking for feedback, people would be very excited about the idea, but then also would be very defensive about sharing their feedback because they thought it was pointless. It was like, well, no one's going to do anything about this. It's here to stay, which really surprised me, because considering how much people complain about the problem of misinformation, I thought that there'd be more optimism about what we can do to solve it. But I think that problem really faded away the more we developed the app and the further down the road we went with it, because as people started to see the app take shape, as they were able to interact with an actual live system on the internet, they started to get ideas themselves. They started saying, this is useful, but it would be even more useful if you could add this, or if you could do that, or if you could change this part of it. And that gave us the momentum and the information we needed to refine the app. Otito forces users to back up every claim they make in an article with a source, and then it allows anyone who's reading that article to validate the claims that have been made, whether or not they're accurate, whether or not the sources are actually valid, whether or not they support the claims that have been made by the user that submitted them. So let's go and check out some topics. So here you can see a list of topics. You can also see a search bar. If we try and search for something that's trending right now, like coronavirus, let's see what we get. So we get a few topics. Are masks effective against coronavirus? What do we know about COVID-19? How dangerous is a coronavirus? How did it start? Is 5G related to coronavirus? Which was a theory that was running around a few months ago. But let's look into the topic of masks, because some people still don't wear them, even though where I am in the UK, for example, it's mandatory. So here we see a topic asking whether masks are effective against coronavirus. And I'm just going to run through some of the elements on the page. So this unit of information that we see here is called a claim. You can collapse or expand it, but the first few claims are expanded by default. So a claim comprises a claim title, which is essentially a statement of fact or an assertion that someone believes to be true. So for example, here it says, use surgical masks that are disposed of improperly can increase the risk of coronavirus spreading. So someone believes that, and it's like, okay, how do you know that's true? So they go on in the claim description, which is where they explain the evidence that causes them to believe that the assertion they've made is true. So here it says, because surgical masks are designed to keep infections from spreading by trapping droplets from the wearer, used masks can become laden with coronavirus. If these virus-carrying masks are disposed of improperly, e.g. outside of a hospital setting, they can infect others. So that's what they believe is the reason why the assertion they've made at the top is true. And also they have a source. So these are the three key components of an Otito claim.
Otito is a media format and crowdsourcing app that empowers users to fight misinformation and fake news while accessing reliable content on important topics.
This cat-like robot mews when patted, but also helps waiters at a Moscow cafe to serve tables. One of the Russian cafe chains introduced a robotic innovation aimed at providing contactless service at a time when the country reported new coronavirus cases. Cafe waiter Elvis says the robot saves time as it can deliver many orders simultaneously to big companies of guests.
Robots allow us to deliver big orders. Therefore, waiters have more time to talk to clients or service other clients. It helps to bring big orders so that a waiter does not need to come to the same table several times if guests ordered many meals.
This cafe follows instructions by Russian consumer health watchdog. Men and women wear masks, gloves, so once again in this regard, robots is less useful, but it is more fun in the current circumstances. One can wave a hand to it, greet it, or say goodbye to it, but the quality of services here is not lower than robot services.
Equipped with trays and digital screen featuring a cat snout, the robot drives in between tables, delivering orders from the kitchen to customers and taking dirty dishes away. Customers like Olga say the robot will never be able to substitute communication with a real waiter.
It's an innovation which delights customers. It brings something new, interesting and funny. It touches. But a real waiter is a completely different thing. One can exchange news with a real waiter, hear compliments, or share some positive emotions with the waiter. People and robots cannot be compared.
To avoid the spread of the coronavirus, the robot is disinfected every 2 hours. Acclaimed Brazilian pianist João Carlos Martins hasn't played with 10 fingers since he lost the use of his right hand in a 1995 mugging in Bulgaria. But today he has returned to play his favorite Bach sonata thanks to bionic gloves invented by industrial designer Breton Bizarro.
Você poder usar.
When he showed me the gloves, I joked that they were for boxing, not to play the piano again.
Para você é como se fosse milagre aos 80 anos.
The gloves have rods that make the fingers spring back into place and allows the pianist to continue playing the keys. Martins performed with leading orchestras in the United States and Europe and recorded Bach's complete keyboard works, but the injuries ended his career. For many years, he played with one hand and a thumb, but lost the use of the left hand due to focal dystonia, a neurological condition affecting the muscles.
Aos 28, quando tive o primeiro acidente grave no nervo ulnar.
To be able to use all 10 fingers again after more than 20 years is a miracle for me at the age of 80.
Aí tocou o telefone, era o meu professor de piano do Brasil, eu estava em Nova York.
He, Martins, was saying goodbye to his hands because he was going to have an operation. So at that moment I thought, Is there something easy I could do to solve this? The next day, I started thinking about a device or something to help his fingers.
Bizarro says he got the idea from Formula One motor racing technology. He spent less than $100 to make the first pair for Martins and now exports them to Europe under the brand name Bionic extender gloves. Smart home devices intends to provide a sense of security and comfort, but it's up to you to learn how to secure the connected devices to prevent data breaches. Here are ways to help hack-proof your devices. Create a secure Wi-Fi network. Use a strong encryption method when you set up Wi-Fi network access to help keep your network and communication secure. Change default usernames and passwords. Maintaining default passwords that come with many IoT products makes it easy for cyber criminals to access your devices and potentially the information on them. Register a new device with the manufacturer and keep them up to date. Consider professional installation. You can employ the services of technicians when it comes to the necessary hardwiring, but for professional installation, it is advisable to go for the home security providers who offer built-in smart home integration. Unplug devices not in use. Not only will this save your energy bill, it will also make them inaccessible to hackers. Hardware outages sometimes result in an unsecure state for the device. Unplugging your devices when they're not in use helps prevent that. Also be sure to disable services like remote access when you do not need it. Factory reset devices before getting rid of them. If you decide to do away with any of your smart electronics, ensure to follow the manufacturer's instructions to remove all your data. This prevents the next person who uses it from accessing your information or communicating with other devices on your network.
Coming up is my chat with Adekunle Ajiboye, CEO Agimatics. Stay with us. Adekunle, glad to have you on the show today.
Thank you, CFA. It's an honor and pleasure to be with you.
So let's start with this. How would you describe the effect of COVID in accelerating technology globally?
Well, as we can see, it impacted healthcare immediately because a lot of services were delivered by telehealth. Telehealth had been struggling even in developed economies, but COVID accelerated the embracing of telehealth big time. Also, e-banking also was impacted immediately. But for a country like Nigeria, it was a challenge because the funds had to have been received electronically for you to disburse it electronically. So if 70–80% of our people did not receive funds electronically, and they weren't able to go and make the deposits on the ATM or in the bank, then it impacted cash flow. As a matter of fact, recent statistics from NIBS have said that there was about a 40% drop in e-transactions over the past quarter due to the COVID. But yes, it impacted, moving a lot of things onto electronic platforms.
But yeah, so if you look at the whole situation, you would say to yourself, okay, maybe it's been awesome for tech giants, you know. But for a country like Nigeria, what would be your assessment?
Well, apart from talking about, we are aware of the usual infrastructure challenge, leadership issues, but the creativity is bubbling to the top in Nigeria. Despite the challenges, the situation, the limitations, our youths, our techies, which you are aware of, you know them, they are coming up, they are being creative in every way. There's hope, but there's a lot that needs to be done to support and allow this creativity to turn into tangible results for all stakeholders.
So as an expert, what are some of the things that you think we should start doing today?
Wow. You know, so if we look at it from different angles, the private sector is doing the best it can within its ambient. And that's where I may speak about. We as the private sector cannot improve infrastructure. That's the role of the government. But we can support our talent. We can help nurture, despite the limited challenges that we have. Okay, I'll give a good example. In the US and Canada, because of COVID, a lot of internship opportunities that students would normally have were canceled by the companies because they didn't know what was happening. There was uncertainty. Now, Agimatics normally takes internship every year. This year, we were also about to scrap the internship position, but guess what? One of the universities in the US decided to pay for their students to be interns with us for 12 weeks. Amazing. Now, can we get something like that in Nigeria? So, I mean, as an expert, what do I have to say? I can speak of technology. I can speak of entrepreneurship. I can speak of innovation. All those are trying to thrive in the country. We just have to give more room. Look, we had Idea Hub. It went away because of a lot of politics and stakeholder handling. So what can we do in terms of technology, in terms of talent? We're there, but the enabling environment needs to be improved.
But I hear you about speaking more for the private sector where you belong. But if you would have to advise the policy side, what would you say to prepare Nigeria for a post-COVID world?
So here's the thing. When we talk of policy, we talk of government. And then I ask you which government, the federal, executive, legislative, or judiciary, the state, the local government, or the local council. Nigeria has never lacked advice or talent or policies. I grew up hearing of Vision 2000, then it moved to 2020. The policies are there. The talent that can advise those in leadership positions are there. There's nothing new we can add. It's all there. We have enough policy, enough guidelines, enough insight, enough talented people that can provide direction. So we just need to listen to it.
Okay, so from your opinion, I mean, one of the things I know about you is that you're passionate about Nigeria. What are some of the ways you think that we can really harness some of these creative talents that you said we have?
So the major things is the enabling environment. What will enable the environment to thrive and accommodate innovation? The basic things need to be in place. Infrastructure needs to be in place. When I'm talking of infrastructure, I'm talking of electronic platform ready enabling infrastructure. When a developer doesn't have to worry about power. So I've got two guys working out of Nigeria for us in developing, and it will say, I have to go somewhere that I need to have light for me to be able to finish. Oh boy, this thing shouldn't take you this long. It's a power outage. They don't need to have to worry about that. Internet, they don't need to have to worry about that. If those basics are there, okay, I can imagine what's happened in the past 3-4 months with a lot of electronic meetings and all of that. There were plus for that. Most of my meetings with Nigeria on a daily basis are now on Zoom. We're sending documents by WhatsApp. Good, amazing. But can everybody come online to do those meetings? The enabling environment has to be there. If the environment is there, there will be the ecosystem, the stakeholders will thrive. We as a private can do that. It has to be done by the people that have the resources in power in government.
But are there industries that you would place a big bet on in a post-COVID world?
Oh, yeah, sure. I would place my bet immediately on platforms, solutions that can increase and bring those who are social services excluded and financial services excluded. It became more obvious during COVID that a majority of Nigerians are financial services excluded and social services excluded. For that reason, even the palliatives, though half-baked, that government intended to disburse, could not be disbursed because they could not access, they did not know who these people were or where they were. So for Nigeria and other low-resource countries, a major chunk of the population are excluded from financial services and social services. Any platform, any solution that can bring those folks in, have them, I place my bets on.
I mean, some of the things you just mentioned now sound so easy, but why do you think it becomes difficult when we want to drive change with technology?
In Nigeria?
Yes, in Nigeria, of course, in Nigeria.
So, You've, you said yourself, the change with technology is change management. It's change management. There's no doubt that Nigerians embrace technology. They love it. They're on their phones. They're on social media platforms. They use it in every way. So we embrace it. We're consumers of electronic platforms and technology. Are we developers? Are we providers? Are we solution? That's the question. Why is it a challenge? Is it our nature? I'm not sure. It's the demographics, the characteristics for Nigerians is similar to almost everyone in sub-Saharan Africa. I just think that it needs to be made more available for the change to take place.
So finally, what would be your advice generally on how we can make the most of technology and reposition Nigeria post-COVID?
Well, I'm sure this is something that everybody's thinking about. And I think once again, it goes to the enabling environment. There's no doubt that the skill set is there. There's no doubt that the talent is there. We just need to have an environment that allows it to thrive.
Thank you very much, Adekunle. Wish you all the best. And stay safe.
Thank you. You too. I don't see your
mind. Cheers.
All right.
That was Adekunle Ajiboye, CEO at Agimatics, who is of the opinion that Nigeria needs to do a lot more to harness the potentials of local talent. And one of the ways of achieving this is by improving infrastructure and also supporting the ecosystem with the right kind of policies. One thing is clear, the world will never be the same again post-COVID pandemic. The forward-looking nations are already thinking of positioning to stay ahead of the game. This is exactly how Nigeria as a country should be thinking. We've come to the end of the show, but it doesn't end here. The conversation continues online. We are Tech Trends TV on social media. Also watch the entire show on the Channels TV YouTube page or cfablog.ng. For Tech Trends, I'm Chukwemeka Agbata.